Alright, so welcome to this section. In this section, we'll be looking at how to import our designs to a live host. Alright, in the previous section, we have learned how to export our locally designed website to our storage system. So right here, we'll be looking at how to import our exported locally designed website to a live host using the tool panel and the plugins. Alright, but before we proceed to this, we need to look at the live host. So this is where we're going to talk about the domain name and the hosting service. Alright, so right here we say that web hosting is a service that makes it possible to publish your site live on the internet. Alright, a web host, also called hosting provider, is a company that provides the tools you need to accomplish this. Then right here we'll talk about the domain name. We say here that domain name is a universal resource locator URL that differentiates a particular web user or page from others. It is a name that points to the property, web page, website of a specific user on the web. Alright, a domain name is a unique identifier that differentiates a particular web property online from others. Take for instance, we have the domain property called facebook.com. Facebook.com is a unique identifier that is peculiar to just Facebook. Domain name is not like the secular name we have in the world today, where this person might be bearing George in Nigeria, another person is bearing George in the United States, another person might be bearing George elsewhere. Once a domain name is picked online, nobody can use that particular domain name. Alright, so right here we'll talk about the domain name sellers. We have the Bluehost. Bluehost is an organization where you can buy domain name. We also have the HostGator, we have the GoDaddy, we have the Hostinger, we have the MochaHost, we have the Squarespace, we have the HostPapa and the likes. Right, so right here these are the URL to these domain name sellers. The next thing here, we'll talk about the levels of domain. And we have the root domain right here. We also have the top level domain. Alright, the top level domain is a domain like your domain name.edu, your domain name.org, .gov, .com, .au and the likes. Right, the second level domain is the one that has like two parts, where you have .openoffice.org, .expedia.org, microsoft.com, congress.au and the likes. While the third level domain is when you are having like three parts, like download.microsoft.com, sales.microsoft.org and the likes. Right, this is very important. When we start talking about how to claim property with Google, we're going to be talking about how to submit a TLD, a top level domain, to this search engine. So it's very important that we know what a top level domain is, second level domain and third level domains are. Right, so after that we look at domain name extension. Right here we say that domain name extensions are used to differentiate the use of a domain name from others. Take for instance, .com is an extension that explains that a domain name is used for a commercial purpose. Right, when you have a client that says he or she needs a website, the first thing you ask your client is, what is the nature of your business? Alright, answering this question will help you know the type of domain extensions you are going to get. Alright, other extensions include the .net, networks or service providers, .online for online services, .biz for customized businesses, .us strictly for US citizens, .store for online store, take for instance e-commerce and the like. So this is very, very important. These are the domain name sellers and these are the extensions of a domain name we have right here. Then we'll move to the web hosting. We say here that web hosting is the process of taking a well-developed site or page to the web using the already purchased domain name or URL. Right, this is why we talked about the domain name first before talking about the web hosting. It further entails the purchase of a storage system on the web, email services, backup servers and so on. Alright, so right here we'll talk about how the web browsers work. When a user visits the web browser, they enter your URL here. When they enter the URL at the URL section of their browser, if they hit the enter key, it's going to send a request to the DNS server. Right, the DNS server will then translate the domain to an IP, and when it translates the domain to IP, it's going to send it to the server, which is the web hosting server. At that point in time, you find out that the web provider is going to fetch out your information and to be displayed at the screen of the user. Right, so this is basically how the web browser work. Right, the next thing here, we're going to talk about the web browsers we have. We have different types of web browser. We have the Mozilla Firefox, we have the Chrome, we have the Opera Mini, we have the Brave, we have the UC browser and the likes. You might be wondering why we're talking about web browsers. We're talking about web browsers because most of these browsers interpret websites differently. Your website might load fine on Chrome, but if you try it on Safari or Internet Explorer, you might get a different interface. This is why it's important for you to test your website in the major browsers that we have. Alright, This is because there is no policy online that says that anybody that surfs the internet should have a Chrome browser or a Mozilla Firefox browser. It simply means that anybody surfing the internet can download any browser of his or her choice. Alright, so it's important for you to test your website with the most popular browsers that people use. And when you're talking about the most popular browser, you're talking about Chrome browser, the Mozilla Firefox, the UC browser, the Opera Mini, the Brave, the Internet Explorer, the Safari, and the likes. After that, we'll move to importing our designs to a live host. What we've just done is introduction to web hosting. All right. So right here, let's see the practical aspect of this. How do we get a domain name from these domain sellers? Let's grab Mocha Host. I use Mocha Host a lot. Let's grab this URL here, Control C right here. Right, let's go to our browser. Now this is Mocha Host. If you want to get a domain name, very simple. You hover your mouse to where you have the domains. Alright, then you click on register a domain name. So right here, this is where you're going to enter the domain name right here. So let's call this sdpkyouth.com. Alright, so let's click on domain search right here. Let's check that we're not a robot. And we'll hit on the search right here. And it's going to search the entire internet to check if the domain is available. You can see here, congratulations, sdpkyouth.com is available. You can see the cost of this domain. Alright, the domain is worth 14.95 US dollars. You can click on add to cart to purchase this particular domain. Now, the advantage of using most of this domain name provider is that I can buy a domain name from Bluehost and I can decide to host the domain at GoDaddy. Alright, what this simply means is that if the hosting service for Bluehost is too expensive, I can just buy a domain name for Bluehost and I'll look for any of these domain name sellers that has a cheap hosting service. Alright, so right here, if you want to buy this domain, we'll click on add to cart and we'll proceed to purchase the domain. Alright, but right here we're not buying the domain. I want us to buy both the domain and the hosting service. Alright, so how do we do that? We hover our mouse to hosting here, we click on web hosting. Alright, now Mocha Host is going to display all the popular plans they have. They have the Soho Plan. This is ideal for a small biz site or blog. Alright, you can see the price here is 1.95 US dollars per month. And they also have the business plan. This is ideal for a business or an e-commerce website. And they have the Mocha plan, and right here the price is 5.78 US dollars per month. You can compare the features right here. You can see this will only work on one website. This is unlimited website. What this simply means is that if you get this business hosting service, you can point as many domains as possible to use this particular web hosting service. Alright, same with the Mocha plan. Right here you can also see that the Mocha plan is ideal for a higher traffic site. Alright, so if your site is going to pull a lot of traffic, you can consider going for Mocha host. Alright, but I prefer going for business plan because the business plan is a bit economical and all of that, right? Then after that, we talk about the unlimited SSD disk space plus cache boost. This is going to enhance the speed of your website. Alright, why this is just unlimited disk space, this is unlimited SSD disk space plus cache boost, same with the business plan. Alright, so you can compare all of this. The difference between the business and the Mocha right here is that this we definitely have a CDN. This is a content delivery network, right? It has CDN. Why this doesn't have CDN, and all of this also is missing from the business plan, right? So right here, let's assume we want to go for the business plan. Right here, we'll click on order now. Alright, we are going to select the duration for this hosting service. You can see right here, this is 3 years, this is 1 year, this is 2 years, this is 3 months, this is 1 month. So let's go for the 1 year plan. Alright, so select the hosting service from USA. Right, so right here it's going to tell us to choose a domain. So register a new domain is checked by default. Let's assume we have a domain, we have bought a domain from one of these domain sellers and we want to transfer the domain to Mocha Host to host. This is where we can do that. We click on transfer a domain right here, so we enter the domain name right here. We can also select this. I will use my existing domain and update my name server. I can select this also. Let's assume we want to get a new domain name and a new web host. Alright, so we select on register a new domain. So right here, let's call this spdkyouth.com. Alright, so click on check right here. Right, you can see congratulations, spdkyouth.com is available. Continue to register this domain for 14.95 US dollars. Alright, so right here we're going to scroll down and click on continue here. Alright, so when it brings us to this place, we still have the ability to make some major changes. Right here, we can select duration. We can change from 12 months to 24 months or 36 months. Alright, so we'll leave this at 12 months. Then we can still change the server location. If you don't want it to be in US, you want to be in Netherlands or Singapore, you can change all of that. Alright, then if you select email spam filtering, they are going to charge you 2.99 US dollars monthly. If you select this, your price is going to increase from 44 US dollars to let's say 70 something. Right here you can see this is 79.98. All right, so let's uncheck this. Right, you can see that to purchase a domain name and our hosting service is relatively cheap compared to wordpress.com. All right, after all of this, we'll click on continue right here. After that, we'll click on continue here. If you want to add the DNS management, you select all of that, proceed to checkout. Alright, so this is where we're going to enter our email address, the name of our company, the street, and all of that. Then we can pay using the PayPal, using our credit card, using the Skrill, using the bank or wire transfer. Any of these means of payment is going to work. After that, we click on complete order. Alright, that's that for that. There's another thing I want to talk about here. There is a particular website that you can visit to check a domain name. It's called whois.com. Alright, whois.com will help you check for the availability of domains, and it will also help you to have more knowledge about the domain, like when the domain was purchased and when the domain is going to expire. Right, so let's assume I want to enter allforlearners.com. right here, this is my website. I click on search. Now you can see allforlearners.com is not available. It's going to give me suggestions right here. We have allforlearners.net is actually available right here. So I want to see more information about allforlearners.com. So I'm going to click on whois right here. You can see the domain is allforlearners.com. The registrar is enum.llc. It was registered on January 2022. Alright. Right here, it expires on January 2023. It's a 1-year plan. Alright. So you can scroll down to see all of this. Alright, so whois.com gives you the ability to search for availability of domain and also see additional information about that particular domain. Alright, so after making your payment right here, they are going to send a login details to your cPanel directly in your email box. Alright, so the email address you enter here, that's where they are going to send the login details to your cPanel. Alright, your cPanel is called the control panel. It's different from your dashboard. Alright, your control panel is a place where you can make changes to your live host. So right here, I have purchased a web hosting service and a domain. So right here, this is where I'm going to log into my live host. Alright, I have entered the username right here, and this is the password right here. After purchasing domain name and a hosting service from any of these hosting providers, they are going to give you the information to log into the control panel of your server. Right, so right here, I'm going to click on login here. Alright, you can see the login is successful. Alright, the next thing we are going to do here is to install our WordPress. Alright, this is very, very important, and I want you to pay close attention. This is Mocha Host dashboard. If you are using Bluehost or HostGator, the interface might be different, but they all have a particular place where you can proceed to install WordPress. So right here, I'm going to scroll down to where I will see Softaculous. Right, this is Softaculous. I'm going to click on the WordPress here. Alright, so this is the place where I can start installing my WordPress. If I scroll down here, you can see I have two domains here. This is allforlearners.com. Then right here, this is speedyadmission.com. What really happened here is that I bought the domain name allforlearners.com and I bought a business plan, alright, for this particular domain name. Then I went to Hostinger to buy a domain name. Then I pointed the domain name to share the hosting plan of All for Learners. Alright, so right here, this is where I designed the Speedy Admission WordPress website. Alright, the next thing we need to do here is to learn how to install our WordPress in the live host. Alright, so what we're going to do here, we're going to click on install right here. Now, this is very important. Take note. At the choose installation URL here, you are going to select the path. Now, if you have SSL certificate or like a business plan has the SSL certificates, you are going to select https ://www. But if it doesn't have, you are going to click on the http. Alright, so right here my website has SSL certificate, so I'm going to click on this. Alright, then here is where you're going to choose a domain name. Very important. This is ourwordpress.com. I've installed WordPress here. This is a subdomain. Alright, I created this subdomain. I've not installed any WordPress here. Right here I've installed WordPress. Right here I've also installed WordPress. This is the only one I've not installed WordPress, and it's called a subdomain. Alright, I'm going to teach you how to create a subdomain. Let's go back to our cPanel right here. Let's open this in a new tab. Alright, if you want to create a subdomain, all you need to do is to scroll down. You're going to see a subdomain right here. You click on subdomain. Alright, a subdomain is a domain under the main domain, so you can call this anything. Let's call this first. Alright, now you're going to see that the document is going to be first.allforlearners.com. That's why it's called a subdomain. It's a domain under allforlearners.com. Alright, after that you're going to click on create right here. Right, you can see sources first.allforlearners.com has been created. Alright, so let's go back to this place and then let's reload this. Alright, after reloading that, click on install right here. So we're going to select this https ://www. Then right here we're going to select first.allforlearners.com. so if it's a fresh domain with a fresh hosting service, you're going to find just one domain right here. You select the right domain. So right here I'm going to select this. Then under the in directory, remove the WP. Here you're going to clear all of this. If you don't remove this, you're going to find out that your website is going to be having your domain.com /WP, which doesn't really make any sense. Alright, so you have to clear everything in the in directory. Alright, so this is where you're going to select the version of the WordPress you want to install. Right here we have the latest version of WordPress presently to be 5.9.1. so if you want to install older ones, you select any of this. Alright, then right here we scroll down. This is where we are going to enter the WordPress login details. Take for instance where we're in the local host, we created this login details. Alright, this is the WordPress information too. We have the user W2 here, then we have the password right here, but there is no connection between the local host and the live host. You can set anything as a username and as a password. Alright, this is a fresh WordPress installation in the live host. Alright, so let's leave this as admin right here. Then the password here, let's call this password pass. Alright, so right here this is the admin email. If you recall vividly when we were talking about how to set up the contacts form, when we were talking about the mailing system, I said that you have to ask your hosting provider to provide you the admin email, and I remember I mentioned that the admin email is always admin@yourdomainname.com. You can see right here this is admin@first.allforlearners.com. Alright, so this is basically the admin email. You don't need to touch this, and you scroll down right here. You can select any theme here, but you can leave this blank. By default, when you are installing the WordPress right here, WordPress will automatically select a theme for you. Alright, but before you proceed here, you have to enter email installation details. Alright, so you can enter an email right here where you get the notification that you have installed WordPress on this particular domain called first.allforlearners.com. Alright, after that you click on install. Right, now we're going to wait for the installation process. You can see that checking the submitted data. Alright, you can see that congratulations, the software was successfully installed.